Greetings people, it's Paul at Greenshire Homestead. I'm going to talk about wood stoves here real quick. Let me get this here out of the way. This is a Woodstock Soap Stone. The body of this stove is made out of stone and then it's held together with cast iron. This is a very well made stove. We had our last one at our other house for 17 years, never had any problems with it, didn't have it serviced. No issues at all. The only thing you have to do is clean your chimney pipe and the catalytic burner that's in here. Chimney pipe I clean once a year, catalytic burner I clean about once a month. The glass on the front here, our last stove we had 17 years, glass stayed nice and clean just like this one is. Never did get yellow or fogged up or anything like that. They said it wouldn't and they were right, it didn't. Only thing I do every now and again, ashes will build up. So I just take a wet piece of toilet paper and then wipe the inside gently, and that gets it nice and clean again. As I mentioned, this stove has a catalytic burner in it, which is good for three reasons. The first reason is having the catalytic burner, you'll have less impurities going into your pipe. So you lower your risk of having a chimney fire. You also put less impurities into the atmosphere, so that's good for the the air. And then the stove gets warmer, puts out more heat with the catalytic burner because when you shut this flue off, which is what you do to activate the catalytic burner, you have less heat escaping through your chimney pipe, and the stove will then put out more heat. And the third good thing about the catalytic burner is it actually has there's a steel plate that shuts on the chimney pipe here, so it forces the smoke to go up through the catalytic burner rather than through this chimney pipe. First it goes through the catalytic burner, then it goes through the chimney pipe. But by shutting that steel plate, the flames can't even reach the chimney pipe anymore. When you first start your fire and you're getting your fire built up to heat the stove up, if you look in there, the flames are actually going up in your chimney pipe, which is normal, and that's okay as long as you keep your chimney pipe clean. Because the stove does have to heat up, they give you this little thermostat here, Woodstock does, to keep on the stove, and that tells you when the stove's hot enough to activate that catalytic burner. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera and bring it in here and show you some things up close. We do have this pad here that you have to set the stove on a pad, otherwise it'll burn the floor. And they had a 36-inch pad, which this is, and they had a 48-inch pad. This is just a small 1,200 square foot house, so that 48-inch pad really took up some floor space. And I did not want to get one that size, so I opted for this 36-inch pad, and then I added some wood here to the back, and I'll show you that here in a minute too. But it's important that the pads stick out far enough in front of the stove because it's going to throw a lot of heat here at the floor. And we have enough space here with this 36-inch pad that our floor is fine. I said we've had this in here for 4 years and there's no damage, discoloration, warping, or any type of indication that there's a problem with the floor. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera and bring it in closer here. We'll have a look at some things specific. Okay, so this is a side mount stove, which means you load your wood from the side there. And you can see inside those slits there, that's where the ashes fall down through. This stove does have an ash pan. Our last one did not. You can scoop the ashes out and put them in the ash bucket, but this one, you pull the ash pan out from underneath the stove, and then you just take that and dump it in your ash bucket. While we're talking about ashes, you can, I would recommend that when your ash bucket is full, you dump that. I keep a trash can out in my shop, and I dump those ashes into the trash can. And that way, if we do have an ice storm, you can use those ashes like you would salt, which is much better for your property to throw ashes on your walkway and your driveway than it is to throw salt. The problem is your shoes will get the ashes on them. So you don't want to go walking around in your house with the ashes all over the bottom of your shoes. So you want to leave your shoes in the mudroom in the basement or something if you're going to do that. This wood right here that you can see, this is what I was talking about, where I made a gap for the pad to push it away from the wall a little further. So I've got this wood back here, and I painted it black, and so the pad is 3.5 inches further into the room than it would have been. So that gives us a little more protection on the front end here for the floor. So that's something you can do if you don't want to buy that 48-inch pad. And the back here we also have a heat shield, and I do recommend you get the heat shield because without the heat shield the stove has to be significantly further from the wall. With the heat shield it can be just 14.5 inches from the wall. So that makes a big difference on the amount of room the stove takes up on your floor plan here. Also, this stove will allow you to pipe out of the top. Our last stove you had to pipe it out of the back because the top opened, but this one you can pipe it either out of the top or the back. So if you pipe it out of the top like this, you don't need to have a heat shield on your pipe because it's even further away from the wall than the back of the stove is. But if you're going to pipe it out of the back, your elbow is going to come out to about here before your pipe goes up. So your pipe is going to be very significantly closer to the wall, so you're going to need to put a heat shield on the back of your pipe. It's not a big deal. It's real easy to do. There's just 2 bolts, but you're definitely going to want to do that. And then I'll show you how we activate the catalytic burner. I'm going to put this flashlight in here so you can see that. So right there is the opening where your chimney would be. Or chimney is. So the flames will go right up in that opening when the fire is going, and that leads right to the stovepipe. So you flip this lever, and then you see that steel plate closes. So when that steel plate closes, then your fire goes up through that screen right there, and then on the top side of that screen is going to be your catalytic burner. So there you can see what I'm talking about. When that steel plate's closed, the flames can't get to the chimney, which will give you peace of mind on chimney fires, and then you're not losing nearly as much heat up your chimney, because this catalytic burner is it's like a honeycomb up there. So the heat is really trapped in the stove, and the smoke slowly goes up through that catalytic burner. So you're going to get a lot more heat out of the stove with the catalytic burner. And you have this thermostat that they will supply you with, and this lets you know when the stove is hot enough to activate that catalytic burner. This little diamond right here will move as the stove gets hotter. That'll show you how hot the stove actually is. So when that diamond reaches 300 in the silver section here, that's when you can activate the catalytic burner. This catalytic burner has to be hot so that it can burn that smoke, and that's when it's hot enough. So normally our fire, this stove will run between 5 and 550 degrees while the fire is going, and then after the fire is out, like I said, because it's built of stone, I'll keep an eye on this temperature, and it goes down very, very slowly because the stone holds the heat so well. And that is why I really, really recommend this stove. They're very well made, but because they're made of stone, they hold the heat a lot better too than your standard cast iron stove would, and they throw the heat into the room a lot more gently. So that's a good look at our stove there. A very good piece of equipment for self-reliance, and if you're not so much concerned about being self-sufficient and self-reliant, you just want to have a good reliable heat source that you can use, aside from electricity or gas. This will help you lower your electric bill or your gas bill significantly. Your house will be warmer because most people that are burning gas or electric don't set their thermostat at 80. But that's what our house will be, 80 degrees, and even hotter than that, be between 80 and 85 degrees with this nice wood heat. So we're really, really toasty warm but we're not using the power grid and we're not using any gas. So I highly recommend, if you have the room in your house, get a wood stove. They're very safe, very efficient, and then all you gotta do is cut your wood, split your wood, and get a fire going. So, this is Paul at Greenshire Homestead. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. We'll see you later.